This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my review of The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 15. Also, the series finale, titled The Cavalry Has Arrived. If you have not watched this episode yet, do not watch this video. This is an incredible episode, and I do not want to spoil it for you. But let's go straight into it. And as I said, this is an incredible episode. Really early on, this easily became my favorite of the series. It was expertly done, and it completely subverted expectations for what we thought would happen. I think me and everyone else expected that Rex and the rest of the clones would show up to help the Bad Batch liberate the clones that are imprisoned on Tantus, but honestly, that didn't happen, and when I'm thinking about it, it really did help the story so much because there is this complete sense of dread you feel while watching this, knowing that absolutely nobody is safe. And even though it turned out that no one of the Bad Batch died, it still just felt like anyone could have died at any moment. And it seemed really likely for most of that episode that Wrecker wasn't going to be making it. And I'm kind of surprised that he did. He took a really serious beating. I think there may even been a version of this episode where he did die, since there's really no content with him after he goes in, fights off the clones, and Tantus is kind of knocked down. I thought that he may have actually died, but if you didn't see him in a few background shots after, and him at that second to last shot, where before it goes to the final scene, then I honestly would have thought that they killed him off because it just feels like he may have originally been intended to die. But honestly, I really did like this ending. It was a beautifully well done ending. It was a really nice scene at the end between Hunter and Omega. It was cool to see both Omega grown up fully and just an old Hunter, both of them on Pabu, and Omega wanting to go join the rebellion. I'm guessing this is probably shortly after the Battle of Yavin, and I really like how Hunter's still being really protective, but Omega was pointing out that she's not a child anymore and the rebellion needs people. She wants the batch to stay retired, saying they've already fought their war and this is hers. And yeah, honestly, the ending to this series was perfectly done. It was beautifully done, and I just really loved it. I want to be watching this again because I only watched this on my phone because I'm getting ready for work during that, and I've been waiting for the last 8 hours to talk about how incredible this was. I truly just loved really everything. I think the only real complaint you can have is if you're a giant Republic Commando fan, Scorch went down really easily in this. But really, besides that, this was truly incredible. They did such a great job with really everything. I love how Crosshair is willing to go and sacrifice himself, saying that's what he deserves, but the rest of the Bad Batch are saying, no, this is not going to happen. We're going to be with you. It was so cool and was just so great. I think that everyone was just done really well. Hemlock was also incredible in this. He was incredibly competent. He posed a serious threat, and it was really cool to see him. I also just love the extremely subtle first chronological appearance of the Imperial Star Destroyer. It was just really cool to see that. If you're not really paying attention, you might just think it's three Venators. I look at the screen on my phone, I'm like, wait, is that an Imperial Star Destroyer in the middle of the two Venators? that just looked amazing. It's probably one of the coolest scenes of the entire show, and it's just completely subtle. I also think they could be setting up Tantus for the future. Stuff with the Zilla Beast was cool, and the Army of Clone X's seemed to have been based off of the Bad Batch, but there was nothing really explicitly told about them. There is a chance that they are early Dark Troopers, but honestly, it was really cool. I really loved everything with this. I think that one of the coolest and honestly just most intense scenes is when Rampart has Nalase at gunpoint and he's forcing her to tell everything about Necromancer. They, of course, do it all off screen so they don't reveal all the information to us because they want to reveal it in a later project. Even though I think we all know what it is. But when he hears it, he's like, yeah, I'm going to use this to blackmail the Empire into leaving me alone and giving me really whatever I want. Showing that he has absolutely no morals, no redemption, and I love that. I also love how Nalise has a thermal detonator, and when she's taken down, she takes out Rampart and all the data. It was truly incredible. I loved this episode. I can't express that enough. It is so well done. It is incredibly well done with the music. I think that the opening, not even using the theme at all, was incredible to just hear. Also, just the fade in intro, it was nice. Just everything about this episode was perfect. I think that everyone really was on top of their game, and I love that they just set stuff up for the future without having to go and tie this into all the big stuff. It was a really nice finale just based on the characters. It did have some big goals for them to complete, but wasn't the craziest thing ever. As I said, I truly loved this. It's such a great job, and it has to be easily one, if not the best finales to a Star Wars show. Although I personally probably always loved Clone Wars' finale more. I think objectively this one might be better, but it's just objectively I love that finale way more. But yeah, honestly, I want to know what you think because this was incredible. I just could not wait to finish it. It was so great, and as I said, I loved how intense it was. But yeah, honestly, what do you think? Because I actually loved everything. To talk about a few more things, as I said, I loved that last scene. I think that Omega going off on her own to fight with Rebellion is awesome, although I think she'd probably be better as a soldier than a pilot, since she was trained by an elite group of soldiers who, although they were still good, really good pilots, I still really like that she's joining the rebellion, but I think that it'd be way better for her to be kind of in special forces or something like that, since that's what the Bad Batch really was. But yeah, honestly, that last scene is probably my favorite of the show. It was extremely well done, and I just really loved everything about this episode. It was perfect, easily the best episode of the entire series, and yeah, honestly, it's just so crazy to think that this isn't technically considered a kid show because this had just this, as I said, the dark feeling of dread. You knew things were gonna be going bad, and even though things went out pretty well for them in the end, it just felt like nobody was safe. It felt like they weren't pulling their punches, and even though, yeah, as I said, no one of the main cast died in this. It felt like they were all just doing their best to keep each other alive, and if they didn't care about each other so much and weren't so well trained, none of them would have made it out of this alive, and they would have failed. It just shows how great the clones are, how well trained they are, how competent they are, and that this is the best of the best team. And yeah, honestly, this is just an incredible finale. so well done, and I think I've repeated myself like 8 or 9 times saying this, but I just truly loved how they ended this. I think that it is, a little funny that they didn't have a little more with Emery. I think that it would have been interesting to see a little bit more from her. And it could have been cool to see Rex one more time from this. But we'll probably see him again in another show. But yeah, honestly, I really love this. Animation was amazing. And I do wonder what they're going to be going with next because I think everyone was expecting Omega to get some force sensitive blood in her and her to start using the force. And oh, that could have been pushing it. It could have been interesting, but I just love that she has moved on and she fought with the rebellion. She almost certainly survived, and we'll probably see her in the current Mandalorian time period, and that'll be really cool. We could also see older versions of the Bad Batch, but honestly, I just really want to know what you think because, as I said, this was a truly amazing series, and I think it's good at the end here, especially if they want Omega to show up in some future content. Because if they go with anything like they did in Legends, and let's say that Thrawn does choose Mount Tantus to be his base of operations also, he would have to do some repairs, but they would need Omega to get in, since she has been there before, and be able to guide them through. She could sort of serve similar to how Mara J did in the Thrawn trilogy, where she leads them through the jungles to get there. But yeah, honestly, I really love that. Oh, also, I almost completely forgot about them just having like a really brutal scene where one of the Clone X's just cruelly cuts off Crosshair's hand just because he can. It was so brutal, and honestly, I just really loved it. As I said, this was just truly incredible. It's such a great job, and Hemlock was an amazing villain. He is really competent. He was able to throw them at basically every turn, and basically he just got overwhelmed, and he thought he had it at the end, but they were able to use the training, skills, and trust they all had to be able to defeat Hemlock, and it was a pretty brutal death for him, but honestly, it was pretty fitting since he was a horrible person. But yeah, I think I've talked about everything I wanted to now. As you tell, I really love this finale. They did such an incredible job, and honestly, I want to know what you think. So please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.